Hi, everybody. Welcome along to episode 170 of Percussion Discussion. Before we get into it, I'm going to ask you to please check out all of our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, our world famous YouTube channel, where you can find all of our conversations, past and present. And these have the video to accompany, so you can hear us as well as see us. Please subscribe. It just helps grow the show. There's no adverts on there, so you won't get it won't get in the way of your enjoyment. Hopefully, your enjoyment anyway. If you'd rather listen on the go, then all of our conversations are available in podcast form. These are free to download from all of your favorite podcast providers. So if that's your thing, you know what to do. Please rate and review us as well. Again, helps grow the podcast, and I would really appreciate that. So thank you for doing so. There we go. On to today's guest. We're going to Nashville. This guy's a big hitter, and he plays for some big hitters as well. For many years now, he's played for the Nashville superstar Jason Aldean. He's also a motivational speaker. He's written all sorts of drumming books. He loves nothing more than doing clinics and masterclasses as well. He's got his own great podcast, which we'll talk about. He's a busy guy. He's also an actor. I've forgotten that. So yeah, he kind of pretty much got every area covered. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome the wonderful gentleman that is Mr. Rich Redmond. Rich, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Maddie, this is awesome. We're separated by a gigantic ocean.
But you wouldn't know, to be fair, you've got your hat on there, so it's obviously freezing. Are you in Nashville?
It's so funny. It's like the dead heat of summer. It's like pushing 100 degrees, and I'm wearing a snow cap. I didn't want to fix my hair today. Today's kind of like my catch-up day, Monday in Nashville. We've been like working the road hard. And every day during on tours, every day I will do a master class or lessons or a clinic, and then I got to go to my sound check, and then we do an acoustic show, and then we do the electric show, and then a lot of times I have guests like family and such. So I am resting today.
I tell you what, that sounds like a fair excuse. I wish I had hair to not to fix, but hey, there we go. We can't have everything. So that's why
No, it looks good, man. It
I
looks
put these
good.
retro cans on today, just to help the hair a little bit.
What do you use? You like the Mach 3 or the Extreme 3 in the shower kind of a thing?
No, do you know what? I can't believe we're into this straight away, but I have these hair clippers, and it looks shiny, but I do my face and my head at the same time, and
Oh, that's great.
it's not clean, but you know it's a every day's a bad hair day, low maintenance. We're
I love
good,
it.
So yeah, anybody listening on the audio, yes, it may come as a surprise. I have no hair. I'm bald. Well, you have a good head of hair, Rich.
I am holding on. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she died with a full head of hair. So but it might be my grandfather, the grandfather side. Either way, no, I'm holding on for dear life. It's a fun thing.
I can't remember. It's like a long and distant memory. So yeah. So you're in Nashville in your hat, which is, And before we get into it, I have to thank our mutual friend, Mr. Steve Barney. I haven't spoken about Steve for a while, but it's nice to have his name mentioned again. I know you know Steve. Steve's a good friend of mine as well. So
What's up,
Steve.
Steve?
Steve connected us up, so it's always a pleasure to mention his name. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
So I don't know where to start with you, Rich, because you kind of do everything. We've got the whole thing: the drummer, podcaster, author, speaker, teacher, actor. You've got everything going on there. I mean, you've
I
just gone
appreciate it.
through your average sort of day when you're gigging. That's insane. So you're not work shy, are you?
No, I always had a strong work ethic, and when you have parents that kind of lead by example. I had amazing parents. I still have them. I'm so fortunate in my age to have my parents. They're down in Florida, Patty and Richard. My mom was a career nurse for over 40 years, and my dad was a career accountant. And they were just hard workers. And I was a young man. I would rake leaves, and I had a paper route, and I shoveled snow. I was kind of always an entrepreneur, or an entrepreneur. And it's kind of you have to be like that in today's age. I think it's a helpful muscle to have to roll up your sleeves. And if you do something you love, like playing the drums, it never feels like hard work. So it allows us to work harder. And the harder you work, then the more circumstances, people, places, energies will cross your path to be successful. So I love it, man. I love playing the drums. I've been doing it since 1976. Dinosaurs roam the earth.
Well, I tell you what, it's kind of working out for you slowly, isn't it? You're kind of getting there.
It's a beautiful thing, man. And but for forever it was just the drums, just focusing on the tens of thousands of hours and getting good at that craft. And I tell all my students, when you actually get to this, practicing in a dark room is the easy part, but then when you get on stage, that's where your growth really happens because you get people yelling at you, "Hey kid, you're too fast, you're too slow, you're too loud, you're too soft." And you take that direction and it kind of helps refine your musicianship. That's where you do a lot of learning. And then in my later years, I was just like, hey, I have a teacher's heart, so let me teach. And then, I'm a pretty good writer, so I wrote 3 books, and I'm not shy. So someone handed me a microphone one time, and then I started doing motivational speaking for like, big Fortune 500 companies. And then during COVID, I studied acting in Los Angeles. It was a weird time to be in Los Angeles, but in 5 years, I got my SAG card. I'm a SAG actor. I've been in a bunch of like horror films. I play a lot of cops and, douchey husbands and that kind of a thing.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's fun.
So a bit of everything there, and as far as the speaking, like the motivational speaking, I'm guessing how what subject matter do you go for in that? Because this is quite interesting for me. This.
Yeah, well, it's a really popular thing right now. Really one of the first guys on the scene was, our friend Mark Schulman, who played
Mm.
with Pink for 15 years, and, Stevie Nicks and Velvet Revolver, and Cher on her 5 farewell tours, great guy, longtime friend. And, he was doing it 8 years before me. And I was like, hey, man, this is kind of a cool thing because, there's a thin line between a drum clinic and a motivational speech. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And what's cool, we still get to play the drums. So Mark has his kind of path and what he talks about. And, you know, Kenny Aronoff's doing them now, and he talks about, like lifelong relevance and, bleeding excellence. And then you have my buddy Sandy Gennaro. He has a concept called BEATS, which is kind of an acronym. And mine is an acronym as well. It's called CRASH, and CRASH stands for commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. Commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. I even wrote a book right there. It's on
Ah,
Amazon. Jeff Bezos will lick a stamp and send it to your house. It's called Crash Course to Success: 5 Steps to Supercharge Your Personal and Professional Life. So I just kind of use those concepts as a pillar, and then it allows me to speak to everyone from kindergartners to art students to startups to giant tech companies, big pharma to farmers, and everyone in between. And everybody loves the drums. So it just kind of helps break the ice.
so do you incorporate drums into this as well, or do you just talk about
Yeah,
it?
I come running out, ladies and gentlemen, blah blah blah, and you go right to the drums. I got that from Dom Famularo. He was like,
Oh,
"Man, hit him with the drums first because that establishes like trust and it establishes the excitement, and then people are going to be more willing to listen to you once they see you bleed passion like that." And so, a lot of people are like, "What am I going to learn from a drummer? How to drool when the stage isn't level?" I mean, the old joke. But I think it's a really good calling card because drums are in our DNA. It's man's first instrument. Before we even figured out how to create language, we were beating on things, and we're like, let's take this animal hide and put it on this log. It's in our DNA. So I think people respond to it in a real positive way. So I love it. No matter what I do, there's always drums.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love the fact that you say that the lovely Dom Famularo, the late great Dom Famularo, said,
Yeah.
get straight on the drums. Now, I've seen many a clinic with Dom where after shaking everyone's hand on the way in, he's spoken for about 55 minutes and played for two. And it's gone by in what seems like 5 minutes. So I love the fact that he's
Yeah.
told you the opposite and then done the
Well,
different.
God rest his soul. He's just such an, his light is still shining around us. He's the global ambassador, and he was so helpful to me going back, my God, 20 years. I said, Dom, I want to do what you do. I want to be doing more drum clinics and stuff. And he just helped me figure out how to start building the drum clinic. We'd be going down in the early days of Jason Aldean. I've been playing with Jason Aldean now 26 years.
Wow.
And in the first 5 years, we were trying to get him a record deal. So we did 40 showcases all over Nashville with a hat, without a hat, with a steel guitar, without a steel guitar, plugged in, acoustic, like finally got him signed. And that's kind of when the hard work starts. That's when you jump on the bus and you start taking the music to the people. And we'd be going down the highway, and I'd have my little flip phone. You remember those? And I'd be
Hmm.
calling, "Hey, my name's Rich Redmond. How you doing? We're coming to your town. I'm going to be on your campus. We're going to play the basketball arena on campus. can I come talk to the music department or do a clinic for your percussion department? And everyone would be like, ah, what's it going to take? People don't want to always put in the, I'm like, dude, this is turnkey. I have my own set of drums. Just get somebody to pick me up. It's free. And I did it for free forever. And then I started getting, testimonials and photos and videos. And then I started getting the companies involved and using the socials to kind of spread the word. Now it's a huge part of my, income as a revenue stream is education. And I just love education because, I'm a product of it. Where would I be without that first drum teacher, Jack Berge? And then I had Henry Vega in high school and Byron Mutnick and Ricky Malachi and Larry White and then Alan Shin and then Ed Soph and Ron Fink and Robert. I could just like this long list of people that just poured themselves into me and helped me make me the musician that I am today. So I'm trying to do that for a future generation of kids as well, and it feels great.
I love that saying, poured themselves into me. That's a nice
Yeah,
saying. I like that.
yeah, yeah,
That's true,
man.
isn't it? It's true. That's a good way, a great way of putting it, that.
Well, we're not just playing the drums. I tell everybody we're really changing lives, right? Because the drums are the backbone of the band, right? So we have to know the song better than everyone else. We have to have we're the most physical. We're like athletes back there. We're directing traffic. There's so much going on, and in that role, we're getting people on the dance floor. People are talking and mingling, and maybe people create a relationship. Maybe people meet at the gig and they get married, or they hear, maybe someone just got a cancer diagnosis, or someone just died in their family, or they just got fired. We are taking them out of that situation for 90 minutes, and that is incredibly powerful. So we're not just playing the drums, we are changing lives,
Mm, that's
you
a
know?
yeah. And do you get a lot of chance to teach? I'm sure it must be pretty difficult to do this regularly. If you're on the road.
Right. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've never, there have been periods in my life where I would have a maybe for 3 months in the summer between college years, I would have 40 students at a music store in Brook Mays Music in El Paso, Texas, and the kids would come through and I'd be working on the George Lawrence Stone page 1 and page 38 of the syncopation book and getting them the Carmine book and getting
Mm,
their basic coordination together. But now I'm just kind of like the hit it and quit it guy. I just try to be a 1 hour dose of inspiration, and I try to give them a lifetime of inspiration in that. So clinics, master classes, I do those around the road, and then I'm available for lessons in Nashville, and I teach at this great place called the Drum Pad, which is this upstairs teaching facility at Drum Paradise. Now, Drum Paradise is our number one cartage facility in Nashville. It's run by our buddy Harry McCarthy, who's worked with Max Weinberg and Chris McHugh and the Murata brothers and Steve Gadd. So he really knows what he's doing. And so I have this thing called a drum intensive, which is a 7 hour day. So people come into Nashville. We do 3 hours in the morning. I take them to a killer lunch, like steak, sushi, whatever you want. We rip it up. We go back and we do another 3 hours in the afternoon. And I address all the stuff. So rudiments, reading, hand coordination, chop development, four-way coordination, playing styles, doing cheat charts, Kenny Aronoff style, reading the Nashville number system, and then we talk about, moving to Nashville or Los Angeles or New York and the commonalities and the skill sets they're going to need, and it's just really fun. And I've been doing it a lot, and it just seems to be resonating with people, so I like it.
that's great. That's amazing. I mean, 6 hours is pretty intensive, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Do,
Yeah, I say, we're not going to master the things I'm talking about in 6 hours, but I'm presenting
mm,
that material like here, this is going to be the stuff you're going to work on the rest of your life. And it's not necessarily extreme double bass, left foot clave, one-handed rolls. I love all of those things, but I talk about the stuff like how to play the drums in a musical way, song centric, and to be able to get a job and keep a job in the industry and play the drums really the way someone singing in a band is going to want to hear you play the
yeah.
drums, you know?
Well, do you know what? This leads nicely on to kind of my next little thought, if you like. The first time I became aware of you, probably, oh God, I'm trying to think of the timeline, maybe 7-ish years ago, and it was Drumeo,
Yeah.
and it was the I think you called it something like the money drum
The
beats.
money beats.
The money,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is like, and that's a similar thing to what you've just been talking about. And that was so cool. I don't know how
Well, thanks.
if it was I don't know how long ago
It
it was.
was. It was 8 years ago, and it's so
Uh,
funny. This is all like nothing happens by chance. This is total synchronicity, kismet. Um, I just went up to Drumeo again. I hadn't been there in 8 years, and they are such incredible people, and I'm just so amazed by Jared and Dave and Brandon and that whole team there. So I went and I did another one of those, programs they have, hear the song for the first time kind of thing. So we filmed those, and then they hired me to be one of their teachers for some of the new educational material that they're going to be launching at the end of the year. So I was there for like 4 or 5 days, and it was just awesome, man. And it's an incredible facility, culture, and just to see how far it's come in, I don't know, 15, 20 years,
did you
pretty
notice the
amazing.
difference from the last time you were there to now? Has it changed much?
Oh, more employees. I mean, there was we had a chef on site,
Oh,
I mean, it was just like big time. I mean, it's like everybody's got a job. There's a camera operator, and there's a video director, and somebody's doing audio, and there's a drum tech, and then you got Brandon, the personality, and then they're doing live broadcast in the other room, and Aaron Comas is down the hallway doing something, and I'm like, "Wow, this is a factory. This is amazing."
well, Jared was on the show, and I really struggled to sort of get across how impressed I was with everything else. It's just like it doesn't get any better. Anything. That is it. That's the pinnacle, isn't it? Really.
I mean, everybody says, Rich, start a brick and mortar, drum education center, or even better, do your thing like Mike's lessons or drum. I said, no one's gonna beat Drumeo. You
No.
know what I mean? Let's just lean into the fact that these guys they've got it, and it's an amazing thing. So just to be part of the family and to be asked to do something is incredible.
Oh yeah. And do you? I'm guessing, especially if you're going to be teaching the education stuff, you're going to have to do a fair bit of homework for that because you need to do it fairly quickly, I'd imagine, without too many mistakes and retakes
Oh,
and.
we knocked it out. Somehow, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I just have done so many countless hours of teaching privately and then doing small master classes and doing big clinics and being adjunct faculty at a couple of colleges, the Drummers Collective and the New School and Musicians Institute in Hollywood, you just get good at refining your message. The one thing that was new to me was wearing a headset mic and playing a kit and teaching and talking at the same time.
Yeah.
And you just jump into the deep end of the pool. I was like, you got to do this, kid, and it's got to happen now. And we did it, and we hit our deadline, and it was just an awesome experience.
So on that kind of thing, are you talking straight to a camera, or would like Dave be next to you, or are you just talking to nobody at that point? That's the
So
bit I
there's,
would struggle with.
yeah, yeah, no, I was just talking to a camera, just
Right.
talking to a screen, and they have teleprompters. I mean, it's like a news studio. It's like coming up next, a man dives into an abandoned pool. It's seriously, it's like a news channel, and same with Drum Channel. I've been done a lot of teaching over the years at Drum Channel, and they've got the jibs and the multiple camera angles, and the guy that's like, and we're live in 5, 4, and it's like terribly exciting. It's
Yeah.
great.
You mean slightly more professional than percussion discussion podcast?
Hey man, look at us. Well, we've got look at this is great. You got the history of bass drum pedals
Yeah.
behind you right there.
Well, there's a few. Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd with bass drum pedals. I'm afraid. Got to
That's
be honest.
awesome.
It's cheaper than drums. That's the way I look at it. You know what? There's this thing I've had in my, and I've been thinking about this for a few weeks. Right? You're in Nashville. Obviously, country is well worldwide is huge now. And is there such thing as a country drummer, or is it just because I've watched you play, and you could be quite happy behind Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Not
thanks, man.
Jason
I'm a
Aldean.
rock drummer, man. I tell everybody I'm an overeducated rock drummer, but
Yeah.
the funny thing is that I mean, what is country? What is country and western? I mean, we have this bar here in town. It's the world's greatest honky tonk. Have you been to Nashville?
I've never been to America. That's embarrassing.
Oh my God, we got to fix this, man. That would be great. You got to let me know when you come over, and I'll take you to Roberts Western World, which is one of the 100 nightclubs slash honky tonks we have down on Lower Broadway, which is this district in Nashville where everybody's how much for the drummer in the window? There's like 100 nightclubs with 300 stages, and but this is the original honky tonk, and you walk in. And everybody that plays there's got the pearl snap shirts and the rolled up jeans, and there's an upright bass player, and the drummer's playing ding da ding da ding, real soft kind of like 1950s country music. And you could buy a pair of boots off the wall. You just got to shake them out, make sure there's no brown recluse spiders in there, and then you can get some crinkle fries and a fried bologna sandwich and drink a canned beer. It's just like going back in time.
Uh-huh.
So whoever plays there, the drummers are all great, and they are emulating that real, Johnny Cash, old riding the rim, brushes, that whole thing. And then you go next door, and there's one of these big modern box store nightclubs that's got the Roland V kit, and everyone's got in-ear monitors and iPads and click tracks, and so it's like we've got the whole gamut down there. But I mean, I would consider myself a country drummer in the sense that when I moved here, I knew that I had to learn the rules so I could break the rules. So the first thing as I did is I went out and I bought Patsy's greatest hits and Merle's greatest hits. Because I'm from Connecticut, which is, this is New England, up on the East Coast. I came up on Elton John, Beatles, The Who, The Zeppelin, all the bands. It's a rocker, man. And so I kind of just said, I need to learn this particular style, learn the language, learn the rules, learn the vernacular. So when I ever get a chance to play the Grand Ole Opry, which I quickly did on my second year in Nashville, I was playing the Grand Ole Opry. It's like, I need to know the rules. So, when to go to a cross stick and when to go to a full snare and less is more and staying out of the way, just kind of the rules of the whole thing. And so then when I met Jason Aldean, who I say is a rocker with a cowboy hat, we knew, I was like, wow, hi-hats are barking, I'm cracking rim shots, and I'm riding on crash cymbals like a Nickelback track. I felt guilty. I was like, is this gonna work? Thank God it worked. We brought the rock energy to music, and that gave permission for folks like, your Luke Bryans and your Florida Georgia Lines and whatever's happening in country music. Now we were kind of like first on the scene, which was cool.
Yeah. Well, do you know, I watched a video on YouTube of you tracking a Jason Aldean track, and you're giving it some serious abuse. And I was like, this isn't country drum. This is a full-on assault,
I love it.
In a good way. I mean that, of course.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
You hit hard, don't you? There's no prisoners taken.
I love it. It's a joy and it's a pleasure to play the way I want to play because a lot of my heroes were, Liberty and Tony Thompson and Kenny Aronoff and Phil and just, Roger, big stick over the head saluting the rock gods kind of thing. And so I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And come hell or high water, I wasn't going to stop until I achieved that. And the only way to achieve that was you need to find your Sting, your Bono, your Mellencamp, your Elton, your Billy, thank God Lib hooked up with Billy Joel. I'm watching the 4-hour documentary right now because that brought his amazing, beautiful drumming to the world stage. A drummer by himself, it's okay, but we need a front man, so I'm just happy I met Jason and we were able to do this thing together because I've played the bar mitzvahs and the bat mitzvahs and, you're playing wedding bands and you got to play Kenny G really softly and wearing a tuxedo and playing in a big band. Like all those things are great skills to have, but a lot of times you really got to watch your volume. You know what I mean? So it's fun to just go out there and just kind of let it all hang out.
Oh, honestly, I love the way you speak about it. I mean, you're not, you're quite used to speaking, as you say. You have your own very successful podcast. So if you want to tell us about that, where
oh yeah, man.
where
Well,
you can
it's just
see it and listen.
yeah, just like you can watch it on the YouTube, and some people are watchers, and some people. I'm like an audio guy, so I'm listening to your podcast. I'm listening to the Nashville Drummers podcast and Drummers Resource and the Working Drummers podcast, and God, there's so many great podcasts out there. John DeChristopher's got a great podcast,
Uh,
but I'm an audio guy because I'm always like on the go, or I'm
yeah,
I'm on the treadmill trying to walk up, hills for 45 minutes because it's good for the heart. And I'm like, this is just going to help it go by a lot faster. But no, I've had my show. It's very original, the Rich Redmond Show. I figured if it works for Johnny Carson, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, just there you go. So, all right, I'll throw my name into the hat there, but I've had it for about 6 years and we're up to 231 episodes.
yeah, well
So,
done. That's amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
man.
good. See,
Congratulations to you too.
well,
It's
thank you.
it's it's no small feat.
It's a labor of love with me, and I kind of find it's an addiction now. It's like I can't stop.
Just part of your life. You're at the point now, 150 episodes, it's just part of your life. And even if we never make a dime, it's just like, I have people saying like, "Hey, do you enjoy it?" Or like, "What's the ROI?" And I was like, the ROI is the fact that people are waiting for that new episode every Friday, and I've got a commitment and I got to get it done. And the other really cool thing about it is that I get to celebrate all of my friends and shine a light on them because there's just so many amazing drummers in all sorts of different genres in the UK and Nashville and New York and Los Angeles, and we just get to have a fun, free flowing conversation like this. And whoever's listening, if they could pull out like some wisdom nuggets, or if they can laugh, or there's some tools that they can use, then our job is done.
Yeah,
You know?
and I like the fact that it's there forever as well. And I don't know about you, but I've spoken to maybe four, I think it's four guests I've had on who sadly are no longer here. Dom being one of them,
Yeah.
and that there's who else? Gosh, there's like two Count Basie drummers as well who both passed
Oh,
away.
wow.
Butch
Yeah.
Miles and I can't remember the names of, there's been that many, but it's there forever, and I kind of like that, So
Yeah,
it's
it's a fun conversation that is becomes public record for all time. It's
yeah.
awesome. It really is.
And to be able to facilitate that, I think is quite a cool thing. And do you know what? I get to meet cool people like yourself. I get invited along to all sorts of gigs and and it's great. My wife doesn't quite agree when I'm never at home, just, either gigging or going to gigs. But hey, there we are. That's
I know my gal is like, "What are you doing this week?" I was like, "I'm recording 4 podcasts while I'm town." And she's like, "Well, I guess I won't see you this week." I was like, "No, at night on the couch when we watch Friends."
yeah. But whilst falling asleep, that's my usual thing. It's like I stay awake
Yeah,
for the gigs, and then the rest of it, it's.
yeah.
Tell me something, right? And I've heard this mentioned a few times, and I have no, and you don't have to go into too much detail because I'm sure it's quite complicated. The Nashville numbers thing. I
Yeah.
hear it, and it just kind of goes. Phew. I genuinely have no idea.
Yeah. Well, the national number system was developed, I believe, in the 50s by the Jordanaires. They were Elvis's
Hmm.
background singers, and they created this system to help them be able to quickly learn songs, and then it spread like wildfire. And really, it's super simple in the fact that if you think about the harmonic structure of a song, say like you're in the key of C, the one chord would be C major, the four chord would be F major, and the five chord would be G major. In most country songs and great pop music, there's three chords, maybe a fourth chord, a minor chord to convey sadness, right? Or loss or heartbreak. So what is great about the national number system is that it allows you to write out the harmonic structure, and then if the singer says, "I want to go up a whole step," if you're reading a letter chart, CFG, you would have to rewrite the chart. But
Hmm.
in Nashville, everybody can immediately, all the session players can immediately transpose
Yeah.
into any of the keys on the spot. So if we go up to D major, then D becomes the new one chord, G becomes the four chord, and
Mhm.
A major becomes the five chord. And they can do that in the moment. So anytime you see them so a typical song intro would be 1 4 5 5. That's a 4 bar phrase. One measure of the one chord, one measure of the four chord, and two measures
Okay.
of the five chord. And what's great about Nashville session drumming is, unlike New York and LA, where you're doing like maybe a film score or a soundtrack, Greg Bissonette's doing the Born Supremacy 3, and then there's a big screen behind him, and there's SMPTE and click tracks and a really expensive orchestra. He's got to read everything. Everything is notated, every crash, every hi-hat opening, when to go to the bell, exact fills. And that's an incredible skill set. In Nashville, they just say, the producer's like, hey, kid, think Springsteen, think Mellencamp, think Heartland Rock. And then you just come up with your drum part and you got to paint within the lines because it's very specific rules, to get a song on the radio. And I just tell kids we try to create these Mona Lisa moments, maybe I open the hi-hat in a very special place, or, maybe it's a very undrumistic fill, or I do a little bell thing, something creating art in the moment. But for the most part, figuring out what beat I'm going to play at what tempo, is there going to be a loop or not? And then you just read the numbers and watch it kind of go by. And for me, I write drumistic information on top of the numbers. So when I'm in the studio, I can still communicate with all the other guys on the studio floor that are playing all the instruments, but I also have some drumistic information on there so I can get a first or second take. And we make music fast in Nashville. Like I have never done more than 3 takes on a Jason Aldean song. Usually
Wow.
it's the first or second take because, and I'm not patting myself on the back. It's just these songs, we're in the songwriting capital of the world. The songs are so incredible. They're so well written that you just kind of have to know about the history of popular music from say like 1950 to now.
Mm.
When someone says, think Charlie Watts, think Charlie Watts vacationing in New Orleans. And you're like, okay, so I'm not going to play 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. I'm going to do the thing. Maybe it's going to be kind of greasy. So you kind of got to, you got to be a mind reader because someone might say, hey, it needs to be more blue. It needs to be more green, or play
Mm.
the 18th notes on the hi-hat. And you're like, yeah, I got the 18th on you know what I mean? But it's a really efficient way of writing a chart out. And I learned it on the studio floor. There was like a really amazing keyboard player that played like Faith Hill and Tim McGraw and all these on these huge records. And he's like, hey, kid, you got this, man. You read those North Texas charts. This is just every time you see a number, it's 4 beats. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. Just kind of follow it along. And I figured it out on the studio floor. But our good friend Jim Riley wrote a book called Song Charting Made Easy.
Right.
If you want to tell your listeners about it, I always try to promote my friends' books because I know how hard it is to write a book and how painstaking. But it's a great book that really explains the Nashville number system. So before you move to Nashville or play the Grand Ole Opry, you can kind of get that skill under your fingers.
So, as a drummer, then obviously that's not giving you any information as to what to play. But you're following kind of the melody from looking at the numbers. You can see where the chord changes.
Exactly. You're seeing all the harmonic structure, and
Yeah.
there's little things like it's kind of silly and it's so unique to Nashville. You have like a Dorito, and I'm like, what's this thing? He goes, that's a bop, that's a short stop, right? And then if you have a diamond around the, it's like ba, it's like a whole note. So it's a little, so you're gonna play the crash cymbals, and that kind of stuff goes back to University of North Texas and playing in the big bands there, and you're playing ding spang a lang, and then you got short notes. You got ba 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 ba. So you got a long and short, or short short crash crash. So short notes and long notes, that kind of stuff, always comes back to rear its ugly head.
Wow, it's really fascinating because you've heard about something, but you've never had anybody to ask before now because you're the first kind of Nashville-based drummer that I've spoken to, and I know there's many, by the way. So yeah, it's nice to be actually have it explained, and now it makes a little bit
Yeah.
more sense now. And
So
and
you
it's,
really kind of, yeah, you just have to kind of know the language, like what's the beat of this song? That's the first step. Is going to be here the 5 money beats. Is it going to be boom crack boom crack? Is it going to be the old Phil Spector boom crack boom boom? Is it going to be the all right now Paul Rogers bing ga bing bing ga? Is it going to be the Weezer bing bing ga bing bing ga? Or is it going to be four on the floor? That's a good starting spot. And then we have a thing called the push groove, which is like ga 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 and just making choices like is the intro big? They call it up, or is the intro down, or is it 2 bars down, 2 bars up? And then so we have little shorthand. It's just kind of part of the culture of Nashville. And we have things like rest man, which is like do man. So there's rest man or Batman. So there's little things that you'll figure out really really quickly. But what helped me and what helps a lot of people is just the ability to still read Western classical notation,
Hmm.
snare drum method books, what drum set notation looks like. Because if you get really good at that, you can scribble that stuff out and you can make your own chart or you can enhance the number chart. And for me, that's a way of life,
Oh,
because
that's amazing.
yeah. My smallest muscle, my weakest muscle is my pea-sized T-Rex brain. I've got zero memory. So I've got to have something to look at, you know.
Well, I've said this so many times. I can't do a gig if I'm not reading it. And yeah, last night was one. I dep a or sub, dep sub, whichever you call it. At a local. Well, it's a thing called Warner's, which is like a holiday center where they have a resident band, and they're all readers. And I I need give me the click, give
Well,
me the charts, and
that's
I'm
great
good
that
to
you're a
go.
reader, man. That's awesome.
I only do reading gigs. I won't do anything else. I'm too lazy to learn stuff and too lazy to rehearse. So it's just, is the parts? Yeah, I'll do the gig then. It's fine. It's terrible. It's a
Well,
terrible
yeah, and
attitude.
even if it's a non-reading gig, you can still have some cheat charts, which,
Yeah.
like a lot of times we'll do that if we in our show every year we play 24 songs, and if a new single comes out, we'll take a song out and put the new single in
Yeah.
until I memorize it, maybe like after three shows or one whole weekend. I've got a little 4x6 Betty Crocker, recipe card
Hmm.
with the guts of the song and the kick drum patterns and the important fills and all the stuff. And I just kind of tape it to my hi-hat stand there, and I could just, no one knows I'm reading.
Yeah. And it's even if even if you don't need to look at it, it's nice to have that kind of safety net of having it there.
Yeah, how does this end? You know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially if it's that new and if it's discreet, I think it's all right. Yeah.
Totally.
So tell us a little bit about your kind of first foray into music or first memories of music. I mean, let alone
Yeah.
drums. Tell us about that, Rich.
Yeah, well, we had this in the States. I don't know if they had this in the UK, but we had the Columbia Record and Tape Club for a penny, you would get a
Yes,
record. And
similar sound of thing. Yeah.
yeah, my parents, they would have, the soundtrack to, Saturday Night Fever and the Charlie Daniels Band, and they'd have, some Donna Summer records, and there'd be some Herb Alpert, and there'd be like Kiss double platinum. And so I was exposed to all this kind of crazy different kind of music. My parents had a wide taste, and I think that my dad always wanted to play the drums. Like I said, my dad is Richard, he's very buttoned up, and I'm Rich, the fun guy. But he was like, man, I always wanted to play the drums. In fact, he grew up next to the drummer from Bill Haley and the Comets,
Oh wow.
one, two, three o'clock, 4 o'clock, 1950s birth of rock and roll. So, and my dad loves big band drummers. I mean, he loves Gene Krupa. So whenever I play big band kind of stuff, my dad's like, "Oh, I love that." So that's kind of the era that he was coming from. So when I expressed interest in playing the drums, he was like all over it. So he took me to my first lessons in 1976 in Connecticut. I got a little blue sparkle snare drum, and we had the Gladstone pad, and you get your first pair of sticks, and working out of Joel Rothman books. Joel Rothman had a book called the Bible of rock and roll drumming, and it was every kind of like version of ding ding ka ka tika ding ka, right? Every version of the boogaloo beat that everybody plays at Guitar Center on Saturdays. So I started there, and marches, jum jum jum. So by the time I got to fifth grade and joined the school band, I already knew how to play the five-stroke rolls and the flams and drags, and I started learning about the bass drum and playing the piatti, the crash cymbals, and learning scales on the glockenspiel and how to get a good sound on the timpani. And then I kept doing that and doing that. I knew I always was going to rock. I always wanted to be a drum set specialist, but I was like, this can't hurt. So I did 4 years of marching band in high school, 400-piece marching band, Hanks High School, El Paso, Texas, and then I was in a 400-piece marching band at Texas Tech University. So I'm playing snare drum, getting my chops together, and just doing everything I possibly could in school, playing in the symphony, playing in the symphonic band, the marching band, the small group jazz combo, the basketball band, the steel drum ensemble, and then I always had bands outside of school. And so just trying to kind of play every possible kind of music I could so I'd be a really marketable drummer, but at the same time I knew what my tastes were. Like, man, when the Power Station came out, Tony Thompson on drums, some like it, and I had posters of Carmine and Vinny on my wall, and then Greg Bissonette played on that Eat 'em and Smile record, and I was
Mm.
like, that's really what I want to do. You know what I mean? But growing up in Milford, Connecticut, no music business. Growing up in El Paso, Texas, no music business. Going to college in Lubbock, Texas, no music business. But then I went to the University of North Texas. I got my master's degree, and you're 30 minutes outside of Dallas, Texas. Now, Dallas, Texas has to the day a killer music scene. So like real jazz bands, real fusion bands, smooth jazz, horn bands, really slick top 40 bands where they're playing all the music of the day. So to this day, they're probably playing, Dua Lipa and whatever's on the radio right now. And so that taught me to kind of play with like tracks and sequences and stuff. And so I finally made it to like 26 years old, and all my professors in college were like, "When are you going to get out of Dallas, man? You're not a spring chicken anymore." And I was looking at Los Angeles because I love the palm trees, I love the music, such a city of ambition. New York, even though I have New York energy, man, that takes a special personality, loading your drums into subways and
Mhm.
taxis, and I didn't see myself doing that. And I got some calls to audition for acts in Nashville.
Yeah.
Dina Carter, Barbara Mandrell, Trisha Yearwood, all these like signed acts. And I was flying in from Dallas, over prepared, knew all their material, took it very seriously. But they're like, kid, you sound great. Where do you live? And Dallas, Texas. They're like, you know, you got to go to the watering hole, right? You want to play sessions in London, got to live in London, right? So that kind of taught me, hey man, I gave my band 2 weeks notice and I moved to Nashville with no gig, zero money saved. But I just knew that I had to take a step backward to take a step forward. And
Yeah.
so there were some lean times there, man. I waited tables, I parked cars, I did data entry, played every gig I possibly could, and started shaking hands, and that kind of started my Nashville journey, man. You
Wow.
know?
It's a bold move, isn't it? Just moving somewhere cold. I don't mean cold as in
Yeah.
temperature wise, cold as in you just go in and who knows
Yeah.
what it's going to be. Um, but it's paid off. It's paid off, When you first kind of got introduced to Jason, then was that did he have a band at that point, or were you the first sort of
Um, I was his drummer before day one. So, and the way it happened is it wasn't a formal audition. I had been playing around Nashville with this group called the Blues Other Brothers, and it was like a show band that played like really cracked up tempos of like Stax Records kind of stuff, like dun 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 dun, that kind of stuff, really fast and showy. And I became friends with the guitar player. The guitar player I didn't know, but had made friends with this bass player, our bass player to this day, Tully, and our band leader. He was tasked with putting a band together for a young up and coming singer songwriter named Jason Aldean. So Kirk goes, I got the guy. And then so we got together at SIR in Nashville, learned these 5 songs. It's going to be great. We're going to have Mexican food for catering. Just come on in. We did the thing, all smiles. We got along personally, we got along professionally. They never told me I got the gig, but I'm here 26 years later.
so you never
And
had
these
the
guys are we're best friends. So we finish each other's sentences. We've gotten to travel the world together, be on TV together, and that would have never happened if I hadn't taken the chance on uprooting my safe life in Dallas, Texas, to try something new.
See, isn't that great and inspirational for some, you know, 18-year-old young drummer watching this going, do I go to London? What do I do? The answer is there, isn't it?
The answer is yes.
Take a leap, do it. What's the
Yeah.
worst that can happen?
Well, the funny thing is that when we're young, we are so bold and such risk takers. And it gets more complicated the older you get. Once you start getting married and having kids and mortgages and like do it when you're young. Take those chances. Your 20s are for experimentation, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, wise words, wise words. And, just to put it into kind of context, what kind of venues are you doing these days? Because obviously, we don't see you over here at the
I
YouTube.
wish, I know. We played the O2 and the O3
Yeah.
in 2015.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So in a regular gig for you, what kind of are we talking arenas?
We're an arena band. I love that we love to pat ourselves on the back because that's our preferred environment. So you got 15 to 20,000 people depending on the arena. You got a controlled air conditioned environment, and then the people are just right on you. And then so we do a lot of indoor arenas, and then this time of year, when of course when it's screaming hot, we play all the outdoor amphitheaters. So then you have, 18 to 25,000 people with the lawn, and God bless them, and thank God it's happening. But Jason, we're 20 years into this thing, and he has an audience of 15 to 55-year-olds, multi-generational audience, male and female. And
Mm.
that is nearly impossible to do, and it's still sold out every night. We're like, they couldn't fit one more person in this place.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
I just love that. I do. And as far as the venue changes then for from arena to outside, does it give you any technical issues or are you because obviously the heat can be
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
intense.
Yeah, it's a good question, Maddie. I mean, I'm really surprised that in the early days, I would just have these two massive fans just blowing hot air on me.
Mm.
And then I finally, realized, well, why don't I just do what Todd Sucherman's doing? He's got an air conditioner back there.
Mm.
So 8 years ago, my amazing drum tech, Johnny Hall, he's like a kid to me. He's 20 years younger than me. Closest thing I got to his son. Um, we've been working together 15 years. He says, I'll get you the air conditioner. So he got the air conditioner. It's all cased up. It's got the tubes that come out. They run up under the stage, and then the cold air hits the
Oh,
fans, and then the fans blow on me. So all around my drum set is 60 degrees. And it's still very difficult. I mean, we just played St. Louis. It's always the hottest show of the year. It's all, 100 degrees and 100% humidity, and you got flames on stage, and you really got you got to hydrate all
mm.
day long. You got to be really careful about what you eat because I have a super sensitive stomach, and so little small protein based meals throughout the day. And we go out there, and it is an athletic event. You know, I
Yeah.
burn 1,000 calories actually. It's crazy.
Wow. Because, as we talked about earlier, you kind of lay into them. You're not taking any prisoners, and I'm guessing you do what, 2 hour show ish, maybe more.
2 hours would make sense, but we have a model in country music. It just seems to work, but it's 90 minutes and
Okay.
leave them wanting more, and that's pretty
Okay.
much across the board. So when I start hearing about like Bruce Springsteen and U2 and they're doing 3 hour shows, I'm like, when am I gonna pee?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. I know it sounds silly, but yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. So
crazy,
at
man.
least you kind of know what you've got to, where you're at, 90 minutes. And I like that. I would rather see a shorter show than a longer show. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a greatest hits thing, isn't it? Give them what they want, get going.
Play the hits. In the early days, we were kind of like a band of brothers. We were like a damn motorcycle gang, man, with our wallet chains and our boots, and we really were just full of piss and vinegar. And you need that. And we had something to prove, man. And it was like playing the clubs, and the band would leave the stage and they're like, Redmond, do a solo. And they're like, all right, I get to do my Carmine thing. And just do God boom, doom boom, doom boom, doom boom, God boom. The thing, all the
Oh
tropes,
yeah, I know.
bop, boom, 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 boom. All and it was so fun, but now we're just like we got so many. He's got 30 number one songs, and we're only playing 24 songs in the show, so we're leaving out number one songs.
You can't fail. You
It's
can't
crazy, and
fail.
and he doesn't talk a lot. He's got a lot of charisma on that stage, but he's not a talker. He doesn't dance. We get out there and we rock, and it's just song, 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 song. So there's not a lot of time to even like hydrate. So next to me, I'll have like ice cold water and ice cold Gatorade Zero. And there's a guitar change on every song, and the techs are amazing because you're doing the thing, crash, boom, they come out, hand another guitar. As soon as I see the whites of these guys' eyes, boom, we go into the next song.
And is there any? Because I don't know what the rules are. You mentioned about break it, finding the rules so you could break them.
Yeah.
Are clicks and tracks a thing in country these days, or is it?
Oh my God. Big time, Addy. Big time. I would say that 99% of any high level touring acts globally, but especially, in Nashville, rock, pop, country, you're on like Ableton, Pro Tools, clicks, tracks, syncing to video, all that kind of stuff. And
Mm.
we love the fact that we are a low tech band. Basically, I run a little shaker, like it's very pleasant shake. So it just sounds like there's a percussionist in
Sure.
the band. The guys love the shaker. And we have minimal tracks. So, like, we have a song with Carrie Underwood. We
Mm.
can't take Carrie every night on
No,
tour
no.
with us because she's got her. So Carrie's voice is on track, and we might have some like soft synths, just some pads, and then I'll have some percussion on there. And instead of MIDI percussion, finger pad stuff, it's like me playing a real
Oh,
shaker or
wow.
me playing a real tambourine. So
Difference
I'm
is
playing with myself every night live in front of. So it's minimal. It really, we don't have tons of tracks. There's no acoustic guitar on it. So just maybe some synths and shaker tambourine.
so if God willing, it doesn't. But if it should fail, it's really not the end of the world at all.
No, I have an SPDS X as a backup click, and I just got a foot switch that'll turn that on. But actually, we have two Pro Tools rigs running in tandem, so if one goes
Ah,
down, the other one's rocking. So
it's
you got to be
incredible.
you got to be a Boy Scout, like and we learned that in the early days of being gigging drummers. You got to have extra cymbals if one cracks, and you got to have an extra hi-hat clutch, and you got to have an extra bass drum pedal that's ready to go, and a snare drum that's tuned the same way because the bottom head's gonna bust, and you got to be ready for anything.
I haven't broken a head for about 30 years.
That's good.
I,
That's because
I,
it's a
I,
really it's frightening.
I don't. I'm not from the school of hard hitters, I'm afraid. But it's. Hey, I'm
That's all right.
not.
It's fun to play soft sometimes, Maddie. When I go do like a coffee house gig or a club gig or around town or a showcase, it's fun to tune the snare drum down, and
Yeah.
lighten up or play blastics, smaller cymbals. It's great.
It sounds like you've got a really good life, and it sounds like you're really happy with it. You've got it all going on, haven't you?
Man, I appreciate it. Well, that's what life is short. Be careful what you wish for because everything that I have created in my life has been something that I envisioned, that I wrote down on a piece of paper, and then got up every morning to try to achieve. And wherever you are right now, you thought about this moment 5 years ago
Mm.
or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, to think that, like, oh my God, I'm going to hear myself on the radio, see myself on television, travel the world for free, have someone cook meals for me, set up my drums, teach a future generation of drummers. And this is my daily diet. Every day I get to play live or record or teach somebody the beauty of playing the drums. Like, that is a pretty dang good life. Wow.
When you put it like that, it doesn't. I don't think it gets any better, does it? I don't think so.
No, I mean, sometimes I like to, vacation more. I mean, put my toes in the sand and have a drink in my hand or something like that. And it rains every day at 4 o'clock, and there's the Pacific Ocean. So, I could vacation more, but for the most part, I love what I do so much that every day is a Saturday. Every day is a vacation.
Well, it sounds pretty good to me. Rich, look, thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us because we know you don't get much of it spare, apart from a Monday. Um,
Well,
okay.
I look forward to this. And what about you, man? How long have you been playing, and who was your teacher?
It was Live Aid which got me into drums. So 40 years
Wow.
it was watching Queen and watching Status Quo. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And
Have you seen the documentary on Live Aid?
yes, yes, I have. And
Yeah.
the whole thing. And I've spoke to so many people who've played on Live Aid as well. It,
David Usikkinen from the Hooters. Have you talked to him?
no, I haven't. I've only I've not spoke to him. No, but I've
He's a
had
good friend. Yeah.
Kenny Jones who was with the Who, Steve White from
Eminent front.
oh, and I love hearing the stories. Charlie Morgan who was with you probably know Charlie. I know he lives in Nashville now. So
Yes, I've met him several times in Nashville. He probably lives, 5 miles from here or something.
yeah, yeah. So Charlie was with Elton that day. And he tells a great story about how the monitors weren't working. And Elton John had the worst sound of the day for me. But he said, thankfully, he said, Elton John's a tapper, foot tapper. He said, so I could just follow his foot the whole time. I couldn't hear anything. And it's just like, that's
Amazing.
crazy stuff.
Well,
So,
I got to
yeah,
have Charlie on, and you got to have David Usikkinen on.
yes. Yeah. Charlie is a great guest. You should get him. He's
Yeah.
and he'd be an easy one to do in person. As you say, he lives down the road, and he's got some great stories to tell. So that's my
So when are you
kind of,
coming to America?
well, there's a chance I may be at PASIC this year. So,
Ah, okay. Well, I'm going for sure. Thursday,
oh
Friday,
well,
Saturday.
well, hopefully there's a chance I might be going to PASIC. So I'm hoping that will come to fruition, and we'll get to say hello then. Hopefully, so that'll be
We'll finally do it. Like now, if we were gonna have a beer in America,
mm.
do you do Guinness or what is your thing?
No, no, I don't do Guinness. Oh no, I just lager, beer, regular. Yeah, Guinness. No, it's too much like a meal for me. That's too filling.
You know
Uh,
what's so funny is it's thick and frothy, but it's not high in calories. You would think it would be.
no, it's not at all. Full of iron, but I'm not very good at drinking. I don't like the taste of it. It just like
Yeah.
too. I went to the Guinness. I call it the factory. It's not the factory. It's the brewery in Ireland, in Dublin.
Yeah.
And you kind of do the tour, and you find out how the barrels, the casks are made, and all the ingredients. You smell the ingredients, and you get to this top of the tower where, and at that point, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to try. I can't wait. And the lady poured it, and it was like,
Was it room temperature? Room
no,
temperature?
it was optimum, whatever temperature Guinness should be, because it was in the brewery tour. I just
Yeah.
don't like the taste of it. No, I'm not a great drinker, but beer I'm fine with. I'm all right with that.
Yeah. That's cool. I hope you come because that's our 50th anniversary of the Percussive Art Society, man.
Ah, okay.
For for your listeners, it's an international organization. If you don't belong, it's something really good to join because those conventions, it's basically the world's percussionists, drum set players, educators of all levels, and students and hobbyists all come together, and it's like a gigantic love fest.
Mm. Well, I'm kind of 90% that I'm going, so I'm gonna say yes, and then hopefully
Yes,
we'll get to see you there. But that's kind of my story. Teaching wise, I taught myself, totally self-taught, taught myself how to read, and
oh,
then
that's great.
yeah, I had yeah, I've yeah, just started gigging, all reading stuff. It's all I've ever really done is reading work, from orchestral to pit work in theatre stuff, and yeah,
It's awesome.
I
And what
enjoy
part
it.
of UK do you live in?
I'm in North Wales, so as I'm as I'm kind of looking out to sea out of my window at the moment, and
Wow.
it's 8:05 in the evening, and the sun's setting. It's beautiful, and if I look right, I'm looking over the bay to Liverpool, which is Steve Barney territory. I can probably see Steve in his window. So yeah,
Put
that's
some pants on, Steve. Put some pants on. So Redmond is Welsh.
is it really? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
red. So, but I mean, I don't know if I identify. I think I identify as Italian,
Right.
because it's just a very strong gene. My mom was so I'm half Welsh and half Italian. So,
Well, so that's I'll take that. That sounds great. Yeah. It's that sounds impressive, doesn't it? Uh,
yeah, man.
so yeah, that's my story, and then drifted into this in lockdown, as many of us did. And well, apparently, I heard somebody that most podcasts don't make it past 5 episodes. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's an actual stat or not, but so I'm quite happy to be on.
Yeah,
I think this will be
yeah.
171 or something like that. So not
Nice.
quite. I'm
Well,
not quite up to
I'm
your.
flattered. I'm honored, man. I mean, yeah, and people realize, just how much like it's just a lot of work. The conversation is the easy
Oh,
part, but prepping for the conversation, editing, uploading the file, marketing it, and then staying on schedule. It's a thing. It's a job.
oh, the schedule thing is tough. If you got a busy week. My latest episode was a day late, and I just couldn't do anything about it. I was like,
Yeah.
is what it is. But
Oh, good, man.
yeah, do you know I have my pet hate, my peeve, if you like, is when people say, "Oh, you're so lucky," and I say, "Why am I lucky?" Well, you get to speak to these amazing people, and you get to go to gigs and meet them and do the. Oh, yeah, but which bit of it's luck? Well, you're just lucky, and it's like, well, why am I lucky? Well, because you do that. Is it luck? I said I got off my ass and went, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it
Yeah.
work. And there's no luck involved in that, is there? That's one thing that does wind me up somewhat. And
Yeah, I think that they maybe like mean and don't realize is like that sounds a lot more
privileged.
fun than me working at the convenience store. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah, 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 yeah. And I think they mean, you're privileged to be able to do it, which I am. I am. But I'm only privileged because I've put the work in myself and decided
Yeah.
anyone can do this, can't they? Podcasts are an easy thing to make. Gear is cheap. It's just having the dedication to keep it going, and it's hard at first, isn't it? It's tricky.
Yeah.
You just find your way through, and then as you say, the conversation easy, no problem with that at all.
That's
And,
right.
drummers
That's
talking
right.
to each other, we could be here for 24 hours just talking away, and
Easy. Some of my episodes are 90 minutes, 2 hours. I'm like, what? Oh my God, how did that happen?
and then you finish your recording, you carry on talking for another
Totally.
hour afterwards. That's the way it
Yeah,
usually
man.
works. But
Maddie, thanks for having me, man. I think you got a great thing happening here. And to all the listeners, um, yeah, just keep tuning into Maddie. He's got all the great guests.
well, and don't forget to check out the Rich Redmond podcast. That's kind of an easy one to remember,
Oh,
that isn't it?
yeah.
So there we go. Thanks, Rich. Look, all the very best of luck with whatever else you've got coming up this year. I'm sure there's plenty of it.
And if anybody's in the States and they want to come see our full throttle tour, basically playing every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday from now until the 1st of November.
Wow. Well, good luck with that. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
man.
sure there'll be an amazing success. Well, they're going to be. So thanks, Rich. Take it easy, my friend.
Thanks, brother.
Bye bye. Bye bye.